Right, 20 March 2024, and today I've got quite a number of stories. And as usual, we want to cover everything in detail, and then I'll give you my opinion on what is happening around Zimbabwe. So, our biggest story today is regarding the robberies at the farms of President Mnangagwa. But before I go there, I want to look at the operational challenges that are taking place at Mukuru. So Mukuru is one of the biggest remittance companies in Zimbabwe. A lot of Zimbabweans use the Mukuru service to send money from outside into Zimbabwe. And I sometimes use Mukuru, although my preferred service is actually the EcoNet service. I don't know what they call that. I think it's something remit, Sasai remit. That's what I normally use. But once in a while, like every month, I do use Mukuru. And what has happened in Mukuru is that because of the ZEP payments, they've lost a lot of staff. So employees have been told to stop working. So many Zimbabweans who are working at Mukuru, who are the bulk of the back office staff, have stopped working. And right now, as you speak, Mukuru is finding it very difficult to process transactions, to talk to people, to respond to queries. And yesterday, I had the unfortunate experience of being put on hold for more than 90 minutes while talking to Mukuru. No one was able to come. Their social media is not being manned. Their WhatsApp is not being manned. So there's a massive problem at Mukuru, and I hope that this does not eventually result in the paralyzing of operations and collapse of Mukuru as a service. This ZEP thing that is happening in South Africa is having massive impact on companies. So Mukuru going through a lot of problems, and this is because of the ZEP payments. They're having a lot of issues, and the guys at Mukuru don't respond. They're not able to mend their help desk services. So just watch Mukuru very carefully. If you're doing transactions, make sure that you don't end up with problems. But let's go to the issue that we're trying to cover here. Top story, Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa has multiple properties and farms. He also has multiple businesses, especially around the Midlands, in the mining, retail, all these sectors. Mnangagwa has got businesses there. And this makes it very difficult to protect Mnangagwa's assets. So there is a court case that happened yesterday in which about 4 people appeared, and these people were acquitted. But what it brought to light was the extreme amount of robberies taking place at Mnangagwa's farms. So there are 2 particular farms that Mnangagwa owns in Kwekwe. So he owns 2 farms next to each other. And one farm is called Precab Farm, and the other farm is called Brownland Farm, Brownland Estate Farm. So when you hear people talk about Sherwood Farm, it's actually not one farm. Mnangagwa owns multiple farms in that area. And I'm sure also other people own farms over there. So what happened last year is that people actually drove to Mnangagwa's farms and store solar panels, they store water pumps, and so forth. And there was literally almost no security on those farms. They were able to walk in and unscrew those things as if they're walking at a villager's home and take off things and go away. And when they came the second time, they then went to a farm, that Brownland farm, and that is when one of this, the people that are there, the caretakers, said they saw them stealing it previously. This is the same group that stole and went to court. Obviously, that was not a strong case, and the whole case was thrown out. So, what is the point? The point is that my belief is that someone is obviously testing Mnangagwa's security, or was testing Mnangagwa's security at his farms, and these tests are going to continue to other areas. How secure is ED at his farm? How is he secure at his businesses? How secure is he at his multiple homes? He's got multiple homes around the areas in Kwekwe, filling stations and all those places. So that is ED. His security quite weak, especially at the farms, resulting in this loss and theft taking place at the farms, especially those 2 farms that Mnangagwa own. They are now in the newspaper. I've advised previously that protection around the VIPs in Zimbabwe is very weak. There is no proper equipment. So they don't have cameras. You can see that Mnangagwa's farm does not have cameras. Immediately from this story, they could not pick up anything from the cameras. So there's no cameras at Mnangagwa's farm. It's very clear, which is very weak for a president to not have cameras at his farm. They do not have proper military guards over there. What they have is a caretaker just standing around. They only come with the military when Mnangagwa is there. Mnangagwa is basically walking around with military guards right now as you speak. But security is very weak. The reason why their security is weak is because they do not understand how to set up a security program around VIPs. VIPs in Zimbabwe are very, very exposed. And thefts are being carried out by people with security experience. People who actually know how to attack, to carry out a mission. And this goes to the banks, everywhere. If I was in the security business in Zimbabwe, I would make so much money. But no one knows how to do security around Mnangagwa. Is very, very exposed, especially when he's not at work. When Mnangagwa is not at his office and in his official capacity, he's very, very exposed. That is what these thefts at Mnangagwa's house have shown as farms. So Mnangagwa's 2 farms were all robbed. Those 2 farms. Imagine what other robberies are taking place at Mnangagwa's homes, and Mnangagwa's kids' homes, and so forth. It's crazy stuff. But this is the reality of what is on the ground. A theft at Mnangagwa's home. I want to then go to the next most important story. And this story is to do with Chamisa. So everyone knows that I always look at what Chamisa is doing. And I think our robot read that there was a court case in which Chamisa is being taken to court for using the color blue. I have not seen the court case itself, so I'm going to check that out today to say if the actual court judgment has been put out with Blessing Kasia Muru, who is a member of the CIO. That political party is a CIO operation. ZIP. It's not a proper political party. That is my understanding. It's not a political party. It's a CIO operation. It's a Pollard operation. That's my understanding. Those are not true political parties. They're going to the presidential elections. That's what disturb. But putting a trademark on the color blue is crazy. But that's not what I want to talk about today. I see that Chamisa didn't tweeted. He tweeted on Sekuru, who allowed him to speak at the funeral. I think that you saw that yesterday. But there is a massive development that is taking place at SADC. And this is big. What has happened is that because ZANU-PF is losing at SADC, they've decided to bypass SADC and go straight to the heads of state of SADC countries. So there's going to be a meeting of head of states from the early June. There's going to be a meeting of the head of states to bypass what Chamisa is trying to do at SADC. And I want to show you a video of Mpofu talking about it. Then I'll explain to you in detail what this means. So let's look at Mpofu. Mdara Mpofu was addressing Victoria Falls, which he owns. Like he owns the whole of Victoria Falls. So let's see what he was saying here.
For us in Zimbabwe, the concept.
Mdara Mpofu. Sorry, that's not Mdara Mpofu. I will talk about Leah.
The incoming chairman, South Africa, to facilitate a heads of state summit soon after holding its elections. The meeting also urged its members to be vigilant against manifestations of hybrid warfare targeted at removing FLMS led.
Right, so let's unpack what has happened. The liberation movements have met, and this was instigated by ZANU-PF because they know that at SADC they are losing to Chamisa. So what they've decided to do is to frame this whole thing in the light of liberation movements being removed, not in the case of rigging. So they're saying if there is a group of people in SADC who want to remove liberation movements, and replace them with non-liberation movements. So ZANU-PF is trying to split SADC into two, the liberation movement guys and the non-liberation guys. So they've set up this meeting, and at this meeting, Mnangagwa is going to make his case that he did not rig the elections and that people should not support the CIOM report, and that there should be no rerun in Zimbabwe. There should be no negotiations in Zimbabwe. This is what ED wants to do. And then he's going to say, because they want to remove the liberation movements, let me go for a third term. So that will prevent these people from coming in. So that's how the whole idea here. And I hope the ANC loses so that we can see how he's going to do this. Because the ANC is quite on the verge of losing. They are so scared of Jacob Zuma. They've taken him to court to stop contesting. But what we have here is a group of liberation war movements, that is Namibia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, South Africa. They are going against all the other movements. They want to have their own little meeting in June. So July, August, it's only 2 months when the heads of state are supposed to meet in Zimbabwe. It's a preparatory meeting so that there is nothing that comes out of the meeting of heads of state in Zimbabwe in August. So watch this very, very carefully. Chamisa must be very vigilant here, and he must not stop. What Chamisa should do is set up the biggest demonstration that SADC has ever seen, so that when they come to Zimbabwe, everyone knows that there's a crisis in Zimbabwe, things are not normal, and there should be no normal SADC heads of state meeting in Zimbabwe. So during that whole month of August, there should be something that has never been seen in Zimbabwe, because they're coming up with these plans to bypass SADC and go to another level. So I think that's what I had to say about this. This is a very important story, and these guys are trying to be slippery and move away from the SADC report. They should never be allowed to move from the SADC report. The SADC report stands, and countries like Botswana, countries like Zambia, Malawi even, they are another Seychelles, they're not going to support this kind of thing. And I hope that Chamisa is alert to what's happening here. It's a very, very bad thing that's going to happen. If that heads of state meeting happens in South Africa, it means Mnangagwa has had another platform where Chamisa is not there to present his case, and is refusing to go to SADC where he's supposed to present his case regarding the rigging. 17 out of 20 criteria that he did not manage to satisfy during the past elections. So that election was rigged. It's not free and fair. No one who came to observe elections in Zimbabwe said that election was free and fair. Even Chugumba, when she was talking in Russia, you could clearly see that she was talking about a free and fair election, which did not match what she did in Zimbabwe. So it's clear that there is a problem in the Zimbabwe election. But Mnangagwa is trying to bypass SADC and go straight to the head of state, where Chamisa will not be able to present this case. Then I want to go to Leah Travis. That is Emerson Jr.'s wife, second wife. So his first wife. The second wife is Pokelo. So let's go to what she said here. She was presenting, and Muchangwa, Monica was not allowed to talk here. The representative of Oxley Mnangagwa was Leah. So let's see what she said very quickly.
For us in Zimbabwe, the concept of safe spaces is a long-standing tradition that has deep roots in our culture and traditional practices. For us,
right, so that is Leah Mnangagwa, the wife of Emerson Jr., Mnangagwa Jr. She is obviously a very smart young lady. I don't know why someone would leave a nice wife and go to someone from the streets. But anyway, that's not me. It's not my problem. Let's talk about the streets anyway. People who go to people on the streets. There is a big story here on the streets. This story here, very big. It's trending right now. Chatunga has just tweeted. Mkadzwa Wikina is being accused of being in love with Tazumaka. I do not know if this picture is genuine or not. This is a big story because I think it's linked to Wikino and what he's doing. So this is a young Sonja, the wife of Wikino. She is with Tazumaka. I've got no problem someone marrying a wife that has been with other guys. It doesn't bother me. And most successful guys, they don't care about marrying a woman that is not been with other people. What is concerning is if your wife is your previous or your best friend's previous girlfriend. I think that is quite concerning. This situation is going to develop. I hope that this is a Photoshop, because she looks very young here. Sonja looks very young, extremely young here. And if she started dating Tashumaka first, it's going to be extremely difficult for Wikno to maneuver. So I tried to, me and Wikno had what can I say, a fallout over this issue sometime back, I think about 2 years ago, because we published a lot of stories about Sonja and the marriage and so forth. And obviously he sent people to me and say, Gambakwe, why are you doing this? Why are you publishing these stories? But I don't publish the stories in the newspaper. You can see that when the robot is speaking, I'm not there. And when the news are being published, I'm not there. But these are very topical issues and very painful. So let me give you another example. Tatelicious has came out here and she says Iye Wikno is in love with another girl who was former World Bank, and her name starts with an M. So right now in the morning, my guys are going to go and write a story and say Wikno is in love with a woman from the World Bank whose name starts with an M, because many people are not here. So we've got other 20,000 people who come to the website, and these kind of things, they become a problem, because many people have told me, why do you, as the newspapers, carry personal stories? I've been called by one of the billionaires so mad to me for publishing something that really happened. But the case of Wikno, and I've asked Wikno to give me a call so that I can advise you. Wikno is eventually going to get arrested. That's what's going to happen, and he's going to lose everything if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. And if he's clever, he's going to call me and I tell him what he needs to do. When you've got money, there are certain things they're supposed to do, and Wikno is not doing those things. You cannot depend on Mnangagwa, because if Mnangagwa gets removed, you now become exposed. So there are certain things that Wikno needs to do that he's not doing. As a young man with money, I don't have anything against young people with money, but he's missing the bigger picture somewhere, and I wanted to tell him that bigger picture, but he's not listening. Then let's go to other stories quickly. There's so many stories today. Let's go and cover them. The Zimbabwe military cadets were at Parliament yesterday. So this is the whole group of military cadets. Military cadets are guys who are coming from school with A levels. So this is looking good. I like the fact that the uniforms are looking neat. They look like they're in good formation here. I don't have anything to complain about. I was supposed to be a cadet myself when I left school, but I didn't go. I didn't feel like running. The thing I hate the most is running. So when they said they're going to run, I had two offers. I had one from the Zimbabwe, and I had one from the cadets. And they said, which one are you taking? I said, no, I'm not taking both, because they told me, Air Force goes, Zimbabwe, you have to run again. So I said, no, I'm not going. And I eventually went into IT. I worked at a bank, at Trust Bank, and I also worked at OK Zimbabwe. I was their senior analyst programmer. What is that? Analyst programmer. First, I was a system administrator, then I was an analyst programmer. I only stayed there for 9 months. Then I went to the bank, where I was the senior system administrator. And eventually, when I left Zimbabwe, I was the senior information security manager at the bank. So that was 2003. Most of you who are young were not even in industry at that time. But I literally set up most of the branches of Trust Bank. I mean, I would walk in and there was nothing in the bank with our guys in IT, and would sit there and set up the bank from scratch. That was a very nice time. But anyway, I digress. This is the military guys here, the cadets. They're looking neat. I like the way they're looking. And I'm glad that there's a lot of females here. I can see females at the front. I can see females. The guys are looking quite trim. Yeah, they're not overweight. And so the training is good. They're doing a good job. So I've got no complaints about the cadets. They're doing very, very well. I spent a lot of times with the guys in the cadets at Gweru. I spent a lot of time with guys in the cadets at all over the country. At some of the bases I was traveling there. I was fortunate enough to be having some people that I knew in there. So I like the military guys themselves. They're very nice guys. Guys in the military are very nice. And what I can tell these guys is, be professional. Don't listen to them. They are not your bosses. The bosses of the military are Zimbabweans. So kana munakati to you, endano Gambakwe. You say salute, you come back and say mkoma atakumuona. That's what they say. Kana munakati bata Gambakwe. Kana munakati bata Pastor Masaya. Don't go. If you're CIO, if you are intelligence, don't do such thing. That's not your job. And Vanogeta Sana Scott, Masaya died during his campaign. Eventually, they're going to go to jail. Watch my face. Watch time. You don't kill someone like a chicken. People are not killed for politics. And these people are eventually going to go to jail. And you can watch me. I know most of the guys in security services. Watch here. Basarima Purisa is not to kill people. And Urayayi, you catch him, put him in jail. There's no one who's above the law. And Urayayi, in Zimbabwe, it's against our culture to kill people. You can't do that. So that's why you see Kuti. This is why we are not afraid. Because we know Kuti, if you kill a person, you're a criminal. You understand? You lose your rights. It doesn't matter what you ED, Scott, if you kill someone, you've lost your rights. One day you're going to get caught and they will lock you up. The correct people are going to catch you and you'll be locked up because you've done a criminal act. So our security guys looking good, and the cadets, our future officers, I'm happy with these guys. They're doing a good job. They're looking good, they're looking neat. And I know that the training itself is quite good. The problem is the equipment and the conditions. I've seen my brothers per Forbes border. It's a shame. I went there back there when I was at Forbes border to look at the conditions of the police and the soldiers who sit at the back there. And they live under very difficult conditions, to my small tents, including women, and it's very bad. I don't know who's in charge of the conditions for the police and the soldiers. I think it's OPA. It's very terrible what is happening with the soldiers. The conditions are terrible. These young guys need the best conditions to be able to deliver their work. There's nothing that is worse than being a young soldier, starting off like this, and then you end up poor with nothing in your life. Do you know that there's some of my brothers in the military who are quite high, who own nothing, like not even a chicken. If you got their homes, they've got nothing. That's not a joke. So these guys, they need to fix the economy. The guys in the Reserve Bank, they need to fix the situation. We need to have a proper situation in Zimbabwe. We've got this terrible, terrible situation in our country because of mismanagement. Idi Urayayi Nenzara. So I'm going to be seeing this every day. Idi Urayayi Nenzara. People are hungry. No one is making money under ED. And that must stop. So let's go to a few more stories. This guy here is called Edwin Moyo. He is in the H Metro newspaper. So if you got H Metro newspaper, you find that Edwin Moyo has stolen $400,000 from Mukoma Moses. I think it's called Moses Ruona. Kafika Soto, but he's a thief. So what he did is he pretended he's got a deal. His company is called Nimbe Fresh Produce. He pretended he's got a deal. And then he went to Ruona and said, please give me money. I've got a deal. And he went to NMB Bank. Ruona deposited the $400,000, only to find out that there was no deal. And he's ran away with the money. So this guy is not a business person. If you see him, do not even look at him. He's not a business person, this one. Then the Professor Mwati, I always told you that Professor Mwati was the first person to be killed by Baba Ishmael. It has now been revealed and confirmed that Mapurisa were working with Baba Ishmael. When Professor Mwati was killed at this farm by poisoning, the brother came to me and we published the story. Unfortunately, Van Vezano, they brought down my channel. So some of my videos were lost and I can't find this video. They explained Kuti, Professor Mwati was given a wife there by the shrine. And then they took all his property. They took 30 cattle, they took his 2 cars, and I think they took some other property. And then they poisoned him and he died. The Zimbabwe government police, they hid the postmortem results. And then when they went there, the brothers to say, can you please investigate? Mapurisa yakaramba ku investigate. They refused to investigate. And I want to tell you the name of the officer in charge who refused to investigate. I think this guy is called Taweng. He is Nyabira. That's where he is. He refused to investigate the case. He's called Msekiwa. So officer in charge Msekiwa refused to investigate when the family went there to report the murder of Professor Mwati from the UZ. And they had to exhume the body. They refused to exhume the body because they said Masbaba Ishmael was violent. So they refused. And the family, you can see that was the family on the right. And this story is in the H Metro newspaper. You can go and have a look. The guys in the H Metro doing a great job. They're doing a very good job. And then we've got some soccer news. I want to give you some soccer news. Zimbabwe is going to be playing in Malawi. So there is a player from Zimbabwe here, from the UK. He's already arrived in, or he's going to be arriving in Malawi. I think it's called Maswanise. Let me confirm that name. I'll confirm that name, but he's a young player from the UK. Tawanda Maswanise is going to be playing over there, I think for the first time. Zimbabwe is probably got some of the best players right now, and I hope that they do very, very well. So I hope that you've got all the news you need for the morning. I've given you all the news from Zimbabwe, and let's give you one more story from Africa. The Parliament Speaker of South Africa has been arrested. Has had her house raided. So that is Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula. She has been involved in corruption, involving bribes, demanding bribes from people in the military. She was also formerly the Minister of Defense of South Africa. She demanded bribes of hundreds of millions from the contractors. And she also brought in a Burundi woman without a passport in the military jet into South Africa. I don't know for what purpose. And her house was raided yesterday by the National Prosecution Authority. Which brings me to the new appointments that has been made. I think they appointed Josima Jome in the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission to replace Matanda Moyo. And then they appointed Michael Reza in the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. So the first thing that I would like to do is I want to report a crime to Reza. Reza, if you're watching this, I want to report a crime. Please investigate Scott. I'm only giving you one crime today. How he managed to open the Red Wing mine without an EMA certificate. So I want us to ask Michael Reza to go and investigate Scott Sakupkanya, why he was able to open Red Wing mine before there was an EMA certificate. EMA have told them to close the mine. So Mkoma Reza, that's your first job. Chairman of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. Tell us how Scott Sakupkanya was able to reopen his Penalonga mine at Red Wing mine without an EMA certificate. Ndinda reporter pano pa Gambakwe.com. Tozona kuti muri serious ere Mukoma Reza. Then Josima Jome, Human Rights Commission, ndoda kureport a case. Scott Sakupkanya achikambira pakaurawa pastor vanonzi Pastor Masaya. Pastor ava vaurawa hapana kuitwa investigation, and vanhu vakamutora achikambira against Scott Sakupkanya. Ndarepota 2 cases nhasi. Josima Jome, want to see how serious you are. That is the first human rights case I'm giving you here. And Mkoma Reza, I'm giving you a case. 2 cases. If no one is touched, don't even think I'll take you seriously. I'll hunt you down and report everything that you do. and you don't want to cross me, I'll wake up 365 days, and I'll even start waking up at 3 a.m. so that will deal with this situation. So 2 cases reported, guys. It's a report a case, are open in the public to Jessima Jome, advocate, and Mkoma Michael Reza. We've reported to you 2 cases. It's open, it's evidence. It's worry basa, hero basa, Mkoma. Right, I think we are done here. Let's go to the comments and let's deal with the situation. I really appreciate what everyone is doing. Gambakwe is getting a lot of support. Now the biggest media house in Zimbabwe. Mkoma MS, you hear Gambakwe say that it's the Chiwenga faction soldiers. That's all from ED from farm. He heard that from his sources. No, Mkoma, that's not Chiwenga faction. Chiwenga faction, it's a Buddha. I said a Buddha. And the Chiwenga faction, Buddha no pizza. You understand what I'm saying? Our farmer, they are another faction. It's called the third force. These guys, what they're doing, they're testing Mnangagwa at various levels. Is he strong up? Is he strong up? That's what's happening. And eventually, when the move is happening, it's going to happen on one day, but the actual testing is going to take time. So they're testing Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa's security is very weak. It doesn't have cameras, it is farm. That's weak security. And Muna, and a weak security is the worst person on earth. I know the worst person, Muna, is not security. Because they'll come and take out your wife and take out your kids and kill you. You see? That is why weak security is bad. I don't like Muna and weak security. And then Mkoba Ephraim says, Mnangagwa must reverse his memory and remember what happened to Gaddafi, and it's going to happen to him anytime. I agree. Something very bad is going to happen to ED. ED are Urayayi and Nzara, and people don't like being hungry. And some of the hungry people are not very good people. So he's going to get it. And then Dr. Arusha is saying, morning, thank you, Gambakwe, for exposing us, Baba Ishmael, and staying on this story. Yes, we must thank the guys at H Metro. I really appreciate what they're doing. They're doing a good job. And also, Tete Tilda, although she doesn't want to talk to me, you know what? I understand why people are afraid of meeting me. So when I went to Zimbabwe, I say, I'm at Holiday Inn. Most of Holiday Inn there and that. I arrived there and I said, I'm at Holiday Inn. And they said, come and visit me. I want to tell you something. I want to show you something. And she was scared. She didn't come. Said, Kuti, people who are big journalists are afraid of doing their job in Zimbabwe. But me, let me tell you what happened. What I'm doing here is spiritual. Like there is a spiritual assignment which I was given to do this, what I'm doing. It was said to me that I'll talk to millions of people. And you know what happens when you got a spiritual assignment? You got divine protection. And Mkoma Tavaz was saying, Scott must close that trading mine. Yes, he must be arrested. And the Jualet must also be arrested for running that mine without an EMA license. Everyone who is running things without an EMA license must be arrested because they're damaging the environment. They're putting cyanide into the water of Mutare. If you are in Mutare right now, if we test you, you've got cyanide in your stomach because of these kind of operations. Right, I think Mukoma Wanda saying, Gambakwe now doing better. I shot up ahead is Pugen. I'm so sorry about that, but I have to sometimes talk to people who. So let me talk about Pugen. Pugen, I know him outside of social media because he was with Changirai. So everywhere where Changirai was, that time when I was in South Africa, Pugen was there. Chief Ndlovu was there. Chief Ndlovu is one of the wealthiest people in politics, in Zimbabwean politics. He doesn't need the money from politics. He owns one of the biggest schools in South Africa. This school, mwana wa Changirai, wimpana ripa notu. Akadzidze papa. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you look at people, don't just look at them in politics. Behind the scenes, there's a lot that is happening. So my son also went to the same school. So I'm not talking about very superficial. So for 2 years, I had to go to the same school. And Pugen was a preacher. and I think he was one of the guys on top the school, and at the same time they were assisting Morgan Tsvangirai. Pugen has revealed that at one point they had to pay 500,000 rands in cash for Morgan Tsvangirai's bills. You can go and see that story at site. My brother Zenzele Ndebele interviewed Pugen last 2 weeks ago, and they revealed this. So guys, when you see us talking to people, it's not a relationship just outside. Take for example Tinashe Jonas. Many of you don't know Tinashe Jonas was actually a genuine opposition before. When he came into South Africa, Tinashe Jonas was so scared of walking outside. So I went to where he was hiding, and he jumped into my car. You won't believe what happened. Tinashe had never seen me before. So I took a wrong turn. And so Tinashe was saying, let's go this way. And he said left, and I went right. So Tinashe thought Kuti Masia, oh, it caught him. Tinashe almost jumped out of the moving car, out of fear. That's how bad the situation was. So when you look at people, I know them from behind the scenes, and most of them are not as bad as you think. So I have the advantage of knowing people from behind the scenes. Now let's look at Jake, and then we'll end there. Majome, I think someone with ears he had. The disappearance of Pastor Masa is human and the Emma issue included. So ngadivumirane guys. Kana paine munhu ari muHarare. Because panapa ndataura paGambakwe nditi. Hapana bepa rasainwa pano. Let's take this case. So I'm going to ask Chamisa and the guys at Harare. Please take this case of Pastor Masai. Give it to Michael Reza. Tinoona kuti munhu ari serious here. Toti Scott pangapaitwa campaign pakafa Pastor Masai. The day before the election results, pakafa vanhu 2 vasina kuinvestigate who killed them. Pakabatwa mufana uyu mukomana akaabductwa. Anonzi mukomana. He was caught. Akamhanya in front of Scott Sakwaya's company. And the guys there vakarega say watch batamu. So ngatangeni Pastor Masai. We want a formal report to the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. I don't think that anyone is reported. We've got a new person there. Matendamo is gone. Just Majomi, if you're watching this, the report is coming to you. We want a proper investigation into the death of Pastor Masai. And we won't keep quiet on Pastor Masai's death. You touched a pastor. That was the worst mistake that you ever did, to kill a pastor. And you can kill someone and then go away with it. Never know. You are mistaken. So take it from me. And I don't even fear enemy. You killed someone who was just campaigning, a pastor. So there, Majome, if you're hearing this, and you're going to be hearing this, someone is going to come to you with a report. We want a proper investigation into the death of Pastor Masai. And that investigation must be publicized. The people before you, they did a good job. Pakaita 1st August killings, I did a report on what they did. They reported properly. Everyone was killed, who killed them, and how it was done is there. So read that report and do a similar report on the death of Pastor Masai. We don't want another person to die during a campaign. And in Zimbabwe, there's no one allowed to kill anyone. There's no one. Even in Urayayi, Mukuru, apana munhu anobvunza kuuraya munhu ari kucampaign. So here is a job, Jesse Majome. Wapinda basa hombe rekuti if you applied, I know that there was an advert for that job. If you applied and you thought it was an easy job, there is the job now. Find these people who killed Pastor Masai and make sure there's no one who's killed again. And Mkoma Reza will give you an easy one. The proper one in a eDIM card after a few weeks. And you have to investigate it because you are the investigators. So if you are part of covering up, then it becomes a problem. So I would like to thank you everyone for watching here. Let's recap and let's start with the poor security at Mnangagwa's farms. So Mnangagwa has got 2 farms that were robbed recently, late last year. and that is Precab farm in Sherwood and the adjacent Brownland Estate farm. They were robbed. There are no cameras. They were not able to pick up who did it. And I believe that someone is testing Mnangagwa security. We also have the issue of Mnangagwa and his party, ZANU-PF, bypassing SADC. They've set up a meeting of the heads of state for June, so early June, where they will try to protect ED from the CM report when they come to Zimbabwe. So I've said Chamisa should make sure that there is a massive demonstration. And you guys don't just say Chamisa must make sure there's a massive demonstration. Organize. These summits are the best opportunity to deal with Mnangagwa. There's never been an opportunity like this to deal with Mnangagwa. Deal with him. Mnangagwa, Urayayi, and Nzara. We don't want what's happening in Zimbabwe. There's so much hunger in that country. And it's because the people are sitting back and being docile. Don't be docile. Deal with this guy. And I thank you very much. Mukoma Chao said a lot of people were killed, but nothing was done. Josima Jome, she's going to have to do it because she's new. And if I don't see her running from Zimbabwe and sitting there and having dinner and breakfast and lunch opposite, you know where the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission is, and Kanandaka hotel room yangu pa Holiday Inn. Then ndakatarisa Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. Ka office kavo kaneka mga ka paper so kasakuja zozupwa zilipo. Fix that office, please. Make it look good. We want a proper and have proper security. Don't walk around with your guys without security. Have proper investigators. Have proper sources in the military, in the army. There are good people over there. Apana mwana novumwa urayimu. Apana even kana mukati eta say mniye havumizwi urayimu. A person is not a bird or a chicken that you can just kill. So we want that investigation on Pastor Messiah. Yeah. And Mukoma Chana says, PG, you are a reporter or a political activist, and you sound so emotional and bitter. Mukoma Chana, I am so bitter about the death of Pastor Messiah. Because you don't kill someone. Did you see the daughters of Pastor Messiah? How do you feel? So let's not pull each other's strings. The killing of people for campaign purposes must stop. And we now need a robust response to this kind of thing. And Jesse is the first place. We want to test here. We give a test. That is what we want to know. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I'm on the road. I'm traveling. I'm all over the place. And what we're going to do is, eventually, after about 3 weeks, I'll be done with my travels. Then we'll be back here. Nelson Chamisa looking very strong, doing very, very well. I wish him a lot of luck in everything that he's doing. We need change in our country. And I hope that everyone understands and we're aligned. This is almost 100 days of me broadcasting every day. And after 365 days, something big is going to happen. Something very, very big is going to happen. Because this thing that we're doing is a spiritual assignment. It's not just talking. We need change in our country. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And a good day.